Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it may be to you right now.
Hello, everybody. This is Smita, and you are listening to the SchooPed Podcast. On today's episode of the SchooPed Podcast, we have something very important coming in from our very special guest, Dr. Nagamani Krishnamurthy. Dr. Nagamani has an experience of almost 3 decades in the education management industry. She is passionate about educational psychology and wants to create a positive society through her works. Am I right, Dr. Nagamani?
Yes, absolutely. Spot
Yes.
on.
Currently, she is based in Bangalore in India. She is also the CEO of Bala Vikas Educational Academy as well as a global education influencer at Education Influence. So, Dr. Nagamani, throughout your journey of 3 decades, you have performed several roles. Would you like to highlight some of the roles that you have loved the most?
The one which I spent my time with the young children. I have been leading a research preschool for the past 16 years, and it was my pleasure to be with the youngsters. And I especially enjoyed the time with very little ones. I used to have children aged 1.5 years to 6 years.
Okay.
And yes, so it was my pleasure to listen to them say their first words and call me mother, grandmother. So it was lovely spending time with them. That was
Yeah.
the eye opener for me in my career, I should say, because it really um, made me look at world in a different perspective.
Yes.
Every year, children are born with a new dimension
Yeah.
and a new perspective because of the exposure. And believe me, the same alphabets and numbers, the same things. I looked at it in a different way every year.
Yes.
Every year, children are born with a new dimension
Yeah.
and a new perspective because of the exposure. And believe me, the same alphabets and numbers, the same things. I looked at it in a different way every year with
Yeah.
every batch of children. Yeah.
Okay. No, it is that's why it is said that the kids are the best experience. They give you the best experience. They are the biggest joy that they can give. Yeah,
Yes.
that's why it said that. Okay.
Yes.
So our viewers are definitely going to get a lot of key takeaways from your experience. So moving on towards the Q&A session, I would like to enlighten our viewers about the theme which we are going to discuss today with you. So the theme is orienting yourselves to become an efficient teacher and change maker in the lives of children. A much needed topic in the field of education right now. So Dr. Nagamani, growing up, each one of us remembers that one particular teacher who had a great influence on us. For me, it's just because of their personality, which set them apart from all the other teachers. So, according to you, what is the importance of personality in education, and how does the personality of a teacher affect the teaching?
Right. Yeah. That's the hot favorite topic of mine.
Yeah.
Uh, I started my teaching career in the 1990s. So, from when I began teaching, I understood one thing that I have to understand my students before teaching them. I
Yeah.
have to build a relationship with them before telling them to do something. And I should be a role model. Nowadays it is very difficult to arrive at the definition of a role model or to find role models in the world. But a teacher has to be the best role model for any student. Only then I think children will be able to learn from us and teacher will have an impact on the child's life. There are several differentiators in the personality of a teacher which makes an impact on the child during the teaching learning process. And I consider five of them to be very important. The first one is compassion. A teacher has to be compassionate. If you are compassionate, you will try to understand the position of the student. You will not try to enforce something. Instead, you will try to understand the student, understand the needs of the student, understand the circumstances of the student, the potential of the student, interest of the student, and also where the student can be motivated to go to. how the student can be inspired to achieve his or her own goals. So, compassion is the first factor. The second one is empathy. Empathy is, I know, I understand that you all know what empathy is. Empathy is trying to be in the position of the other person and understand the circumstances of the other person in their circumstances, not from your perspective.
Yeah.
You should try to understand the student's circumstances from their perspective and not from a teacher's perspective. So many times a teacher will not be able to understand this, or many times the teacher may not have this trait at all of being empathetic towards the student,
Mm.
which creates a lot of disturbance between the relationship between teacher and the student.
Yeah.
So it's important that the empathy should be there. The third one is mindfulness. Mindfulness again is a very important factor. To put it simply, it's being in the present.
Yeah.
Mindfulness is being in the present.
Yes.
Right now, I'm talking to Smita, and that's all matters to me. I
Mm.
cannot think of anything else.
Yes.
A teacher has to interact with the child in such a way that she forgets everything else in the world. She has to be with the children. So when the teacher enters the classroom, the whole world is only the classroom, nothing else.
Yeah.
Her personal problems, her personal life, her professional problems or professional challenges should not interfere in the relationship she has with the children in the classroom or with the teaching which happens in the classroom. That is when the teacher will be able to understand the children and then give them what they want, not what the teacher wants. We have to always give what others want rather than give what I know. I know so many things. I know how to cook bisibelabat, but I cannot teach you that now. Can I? You
No.
don't need that.
No.
So I have to be able to understand the needs of the children and I have to be able to perceive how it has to be transferred to the child and how the children have to be inspired to work towards their own best. Because a teacher is the most powerful person in the world.
Yeah. Definitely. Yes.
Because only and only a teacher can be a change maker. Nobody else has that power or the ability to change the personality of a child or of a person.
Yes.
So, this is one thing which you have to consider for a teacher's personality. The next one is the listening skills. Unless a teacher listens to the child, the teacher will not be able to understand what the child is trying to say. For example, I was working with very young children where they were not even able to talk. They had not started talking, right? One
Yeah.
and a half year old will not be speaking or
No.
will not be able to communicate what the child wants. But I have to be good in understanding the body language, understanding the sign language.
Mm-hmm.
I should be able to have a good amount of patience and listening skill to understand and perceive what the child needs. The child, let us say we have a snack time and the child does not want to eat,
Mm-hmm.
okay, for various reasons. Children don't eat for various reasons.
Yes.
That's a different story altogether. But when you are trying to make the child to sit at the table and try to finish the snacks, you also have to be listening to the present condition and the present perspective of the child, whether the child really is hungry or
Mm-hmm.
not, whether the child wants to eat or not, whether the child needs your help in feeding the child or not. So many things. Just
Yes.
one simple snack time will have so many parameters. So
Mm-hmm.
if you extend it to an adult class or a teenage classroom or a children's classroom in primary school or middle school, you will really understand the complexities which are involved in listening to children. A class will not be containing only one child, right? It
Yeah.
will comprise of so many children. And if I have to be a good listener, what is the level of listening I should have in order to understand the need of every child in my class. So I hope you have understood how much important it is to have
Yes.
good listening skills
Yes.
and also facilitating skills. This is one thing which is not present in many of us. I'll ask you to recollect a simple thing from your own life,
Yeah.
right? You are living with your family, and your mother will be talking to you from morning till evening at various situations.
Yes.
What's the one thing which comes to your mind as soon as I say mother? You will think that, oh, she cares for me, she loves me.
Yes.
One more thing comes to your mind very much, that is giving instructions.
Hmm. Yes, definitely.
Right?
Yes.
Right? We give a lot of instructions. We
Yes.
love giving instructions. And we direct the actions of the children.
Mm-mm.
It should not be done as a teacher.
Okay.
Because when I tell you to, let's say you're recording a podcast now, if I
Mm-mm.
tell you, if I give you the rules and regulations of the podcast, that's fine.
Yeah.
If I tell you how it has to be done,
Hmm.
minute by minute, then you will get annoyed. Point
Yeah.
one. Point two, you will not be able to execute it
Yeah.
100% because of the simple fact that you are a unique individual. You do the things in your own way, in your own style, and you cannot follow somebody's instructions to carry on with a task step by step. So, if anybody is asking you to do the task, they have to give you some amount of freedom to utilize your own creativity, your own innovativeness, your own ideas and thoughts and opinions, and execute the task according to what you want to, how you want.
Yes.
That is facilitating. If I encourage you to do the task in whatever manner you want to do, then I'll not be putting a restriction on your curiosity, creativity, or thinking, or opinions, or I'll not be thrusting my ideas on you.
Mm.
As a teacher, I should take care not to thrust my opinions and ideas on the children.
Yes.
I should only be a facilitator of bringing out the best in every child in my classroom. That is the most important aspect.
Yes.
And the last one, but not the least, is a teacher should be a lifelong learner.
Okay.
No teacher can come to a decision that, oh, I have had a decade of experience, I'm an expert in this. No. I mean, of course, we all write in our CVs that I'm an expert, but am I? No. As I told you, just teaching children alphabets and numbers took me decades, and still I'm learning.
Yeah.
Because every time a child learns an alphabet or a number, it's different.
Hmm.
It's different because the child is using his or her own strategy to learn, his or her own pace to learn, and his or her own activities and techniques to learn. So, as and when the children change, the teacher also has to evolve. See, the only constant thing in the world is change,
Strange. Yes.
which we all resist. We
Mm-mm.
don't like to change. We
No.
don't want to accept change.
Yes.
But that's what a teacher needs to do. We have to accept that at some point our ideas and our techniques and strategies may become redundant. So, what should I do? I should keep myself updated as a teacher to keep myself up the pace of the present generation.
Mm.
As I grow older, the generation gap becomes longer and heavier.
Yes.
If I
Yeah.
don't learn, if I don't keep up to date,
Yeah.
then the gap goes on widening.
Mm.
And you might have experienced in your student days that sometimes some teachers never got connected to you,
No. Yes, I
isn't it?
remember this. Yes.
Why? Because they are way beyond you.
Mm-hmm.
You are not in the same level at all. You're
Yeah.
not on the same page to think. and you won't get connected. If you don't get connected, you will not learn. That person is non existent in your memory. Maybe if he is a worst possible teacher, then probably you will recollect that, oh, this teacher made me to get a wrong idea or a bad idea about something, XYZ.
Mm-mm.
For that, we will remember. But if they have not made an impact, either ways, good or bad, then we tend to forget them. Why? Why do we tend to forget teachers? It's not so simple. They would have taught at least for a year, isn't it? So we cannot forget them, but we do forget them. Do we remember all the teachers who have taught us? No, we don't. So a teacher has to have these five personality traits. And as I explained, I think it is very difficult for a person to have these traits on their own. It is not innate.
Yes.
So a training is required, an
Mm-mm.
orientation is required for every person who wants to become a teacher. They have to be prepared to have these qualities in.
Yes. You made me nostalgic because the qualities, you specified here. I remembered one of my teachers. She used to prepare some, good lunch and share with all the students, and whatever might be in her tiffin, she always used to share with us, and that's a bond which she
Yes,
created with us. You know,
yes, yes.
that made me nostalgic, definitely.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So, see, that kind of relationship which she had with you would have made you to do anything for her,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's important that we show that compassion, love, care, understanding, and we listen to children, what they need and what's happening in their lives,
Yeah.
and then get connected. So when we get connected, we become the change makers. So how to
Definitely.
get connected and how to be a change maker is part of training,
Mm-mm.
which I do in my organization.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's move on to the
Yeah.
next question. So, ma'am, there were days when teaching used to be one of those most honorable professions, and that too throughout the world. But
Yes.
with time, a shift in the mindset of the people is seen. Nowadays, teaching is either, considered to be the profession of the non achievers or maybe the last thing to indulge in. So, do you believe the passion is still there in many people, or the profession has just come down to a status of a mere job?
No, I don't think the passion has come down. It is just that teachers are not getting paid enough to
Mm-mm.
keep up the motivation and the spirit to continue their journey as teachers. If you take me, I never left the passion for being a teacher all the way.
Yeah.
Okay, irrespective of whatever obstacles I got, I was passionate to be a change maker and I arrived at that stage after 3 decades, right?
Yeah.
So I cannot say I have landed in the perfect spot, but what I'm saying is now I have got the opportunity to reach out to a larger audience and I can be a change maker for many more children than what I used to be in the past.
Yes.
Okay, so I think it is the current policy and the current decisions on how educators are treated, which is bringing down the spirits of the teachers. But during COVID times, I think you would have seen that all over the world, there were two sets of professionals who were working constantly. One is the healthcare, another is the educator.
Education. Yes.
They never stopped. Pandemic or no pandemic, classroom or no classroom, they reached out to the children in whatever manner they could. It's just that more people, more teachers are getting dissuaded by taking up or pursuing a profession of teaching because of the way they are treated and the way they are paid. They are paid so less everywhere, all over the world. But
Yes.
the passion to be a change maker, to continue to be a teacher, remains with the teachers. I can quote some instances in India where it was very difficult for people to get internet connectivity. We cannot have online classes in some places.
Yes.
There are There are lot of rural places where there is no internet facility and there is no way the teacher can get connected to the children. But they have used indigenous methods of reaching out to the children, and they have provided materials to be available at their home. They have given instructions over radio, and they have tried reaching out to the children, and they have provided the learning to happen, or they have made the children to be alert
Yeah.
and alive with
Yes.
respect to education and learning and development. So though I cannot say that it was 100% effective, but I can say that the passion of the teacher remained all over the world,
Yes.
everywhere. Any teacher in any condition. I have also got some instances where teachers themselves were affected with COVID, but they didn't stop reaching out to the children. You know why? Because children are our lives.
Oh, yes. That's
We
really
can't live
beautiful.
without them.
Yes.
That's the kind of life we lead. So definitely, passion for teaching or passion to be a teacher has not reduced.
Yes.
Educators and policymakers have to make life better in order to make more teachers passionate about what they're doing.
Yes. Okay, ma'am. So, like you mentioned, to become a change maker, a lot of skill sets, a lot of things are required in their personality, and that requires training. So, ma'am, training, teachers mostly receive their training either when they start working or in the initial stages of their working life. But it is believed that with time, the methodologies that they use become quite less relevant. So, according to your experience, how training and retraining both are equally important.
Yes, they are. Um, I think I have already touched upon that factor
Yes.
because I told you a teacher has to be a lifelong learner, right?
Yes.
It's not that a training happens to qualify as a teacher. That is fine. The prerequisite for entering the teaching
Yes.
profession, like any other profession, we require a training to be done. And that training should not only touch upon child psychology, child development, and how we can teach a subject, etc., but it should be a personality development for the teacher. Because as I mentioned, a teacher at present requires a lot more skills than what the teacher used to require earlier. So
Yes.
if they undergo a initial training to become a teacher, they cannot stop at that. They have to continue learning, whether it is in the form of a formal training or a professional development program or a workshop or anything like that, or it could be an informal learning where every day the teacher has to learn from the children and from her experiences. So definitely, it will make uh, retraining a very essential part of a teacher's life. Every now and then, the teacher has to attend conferences, workshops, and training, professional development programs, so that uh, she is able to keep up to date with the current techniques and current philosophies of education. So it's very important that we incorporate professional development programs in every institution. Could be made mandatory for all the teachers to go through this professional development, because unless and until we make it mandatory, some people do not try to keep themselves updated.
Yes.
So it's important that we make them to understand the need for learning or need for being a lifelong learner.
Yes.
So, retraining or professional development, as I call it,
Mm-mm.
is a very important aspect in a teacher's life.
Yes, ma'am, definitely. So, ma'am, like you mentioned, the importance of professional learning. So, there's a study, a 2013 study on professional learning. It reported that almost 90% of the educators, they said that the professional learning programs, they find it really less helpful. So can you, ma'am, through your experience, you suggest some ways for the schools, to plan a better curriculum for the educators for their personal and professional development as well?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I would like to talk about why these trainings don't work. Okay. And now you're listening to me, right? So let us say you have a session for teachers where the trainer gives a lot of techniques and strategies, a very impressive session and very interactive, engaging session, and a lot of takeaways were there for the session. But let me tell you, 95% of the people forget about everything after they come out of the session.
Yes, it happens.
And the only point they remember is whether it was a memorable one, fun, engaging session or not. That's it. They remember only that part of it. But when it comes to implementation, they will not implement. There are two reasons for this, according to me. One is either the strategies were too dreamy, not practical, not applicable to the teacher as such in her personal life. And the second, there is no follow up by the trainer.
Mm-hmm.
You invite a trainer for a session and the trainer gets paid for the session, right? The trainer completes the training and she leaves the place. Neither the trainer nor the head of the organization pays attention to the follow up of this training session
Yes.
in most of the cases, at least in organizations where I have seen.
Mm-hmm.
They don't take it as an important aspect of training. This is a part of training, according to me.
Yes.
I am a trainer, so when I do training of any sort, I do follow up and I ask the person, what are you doing now? Did you implement anything? Did you find it difficult to implement? What happened to the techniques? Do you find it easy to use? Do you find any hindrances? What are the difficulties you faced, and how can I help you? See, when I reach out to them, follow up, they will think that, oh, this person is serious about making me implement the strategies.
Yes.
So, what an educational institution has to do in order to make the teachers, they spend a lot of money, they allocate a budget for professional development for their teachers. But do they follow it up? Do they make it work for the school? Is the question. So for me, I think there should be goals for professional development. We cannot make the teachers to change everything in their teaching style or in their profession at the same time. So for an academic year, the institution has to frame some goals. This year, we are going to make the teachers to learn one, two, three skills.
Yes.
Okay. And then share these goals with the teachers, whether they are relevant for the teaching in the current circumstances or they require something else. See, just because I am digitalizing everything, I'll say, come on, we'll have a computer training for all the teachers. That's relevant because I'm digitalizing.
Yes.
But it's not so straightforward in all other situations, in all other skills. So there should be a discussion with the teachers and both in consensus with the teachers. I think the institution has to arrive at the goals for professional development for a particular year and then accordingly frame the program, the professional development program for the entire year and make sure that there is accountability of implementation. There should be an evaluation of how well the program went, how much of it was relevant to you, how much of it were you able to implement, what were the difficulties you faced, how are you going to make sure that this particular skill is learned at the end of the year, isn't it? We had only three goals, and in those three goals, I have started with the first goal, and if the teachers are not able to implement it 100%, I have to do something as a head of an organization. I have to support the teachers in such a way that by the end of the year they have to get that goals at any cost, isn't it? That
Yes.
was my goal.
Mm-mm.
That's what is targeting all about, isn't it? So I think if every organization thinks of framing goals and work towards the professional development program in consensus with the teachers' needs and teachers' requirements, definitely they will all implement. Definitely they will find it useful
Yes.
because you are asking the teachers what they want. It's very simple to meet the needs of some people we are serving. Just like I said, we have to understand the needs of the children. We have to understand the needs of the teachers too.
Yes.
As the children are coming out with more intelligence, more curiosity, more creativity, and more innovative thoughts, teachers have to evolve. They have to keep pace with them.
Yes.
And it's very difficult, I tell you. Believe me, it is very difficult. I know it because I am at least 30 years older than you, right? So if I have to understand what you need and what you like, I will take a long time. You may think that why am I taking so long to understand? But for me, it's a culture difference. It's a paradigm difference. So many differences are there. The same concept could be as simple as going to a wedding, attending a wedding. The way you think, we will not be able to think.
Yeah.
We have to reorient ourselves. So the needs are different, and we have to take the needs into consideration when we are forming the professional development program. Only then we'll be able to make the teachers achieve something in their life. They will progress professionally because the name itself suggests that it is professional development.
Yes.
Right? They
Yes.
have to develop their skills professionally. I've been running the preschool for 16 years now, and every month I used to train the teachers. Every month, being a teacher trainer myself,
Yes.
I used to train the teachers every month. I used to give them different ideas, different strategies every month because that was the pace at which my children were learning.
Yes.
I have a very unique child development program which allows children to develop thinking skills.
Okay.
So when they start thinking better and better, they go 10 times faster than us.
Yes.
And if they go 10 times faster, then we have to go 100 times faster to meet them.
Yes. So, ma'am, we all know you have a history of working in the education management industry for over 3 decades. And you know, 3 decades is really a long time. You must have seen a lot of transitions, and those transitions must have been a challenge in itself. So, through your experience, how has the professional development changed from then to now?
Yeah, so I think if I go back to my early days of career, it was not mandatory to have a professional development program. It was not even thought a necessity in those days. Organizations never, educational institutions didn't think that there was a need for having a professional development program. So, uh, by their own will and choice, some of the organizations used to have some trainers, some sessions, not training as such. It's not a regular training I'm talking about. It's only an enlightening session, I can say, about various aspects of teaching and learning and education and everything in general, nothing very specific. But over a period of time, they started feeling the need of it and they have evolved from there to now where it is abundantly available. We have the CPD certification, which enables you to get some additional points to move up the ladder in your career. So, from the teacher to probably a head teacher or something like that, you can go on adding qualifications. You can go on getting certified with lot of professional development courses, and you can gain the skills and you can move ahead. But right now, also, there is a problem because, as I told you, if there is no accountability, if there is no follow up, then again, it doesn't make sense. So, somehow, somewhere, we have to match all these factors and solve the puzzle of making teachers more effective by taking care of their needs and their requirements, providing the suitable professional development programs, and making them to reach that point where they can say that we have been doing an awesome job and we are creating a difference in our children's lives. Some of them are doing it on their own
Yes.
because of their own creativity and because of their own passion, they are doing it. But every teacher has to go to that level,
Yes.
is what I think should happen. Yeah. So, professional development has changed and it has come to a stage where it is abundantly available everywhere. And during COVID times, I think most of the training sessions were given free
Hmm. Yes.
from eminent educators,
Yes.
from well-renowned universities. They have given free training sessions. But how much of it are we able to imbibe? How much of it has impacted the teachers? That needs to be, fine-tuned so that the teacher feels that, okay, I have learned something and I'm going to impact the child in so and so manner. This is what is my strategy to work towards the benefit of the children. So if there is a systematic way, systematic approach to the professional development and implementation of this training in the classroom situation, that would be a great idea.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much for this, insightful answer. Then I would like to, this is a really hot topic and I want to talk about it. So in the present scenario, what is happening, education and technology, they are running parallel to each other. But it is expected that the
Mhm.
time is near when machine intelligence will surpass human intelligence. So we can believe in this fact that that artificial intelligence may take over human IQ, but is it capable of covering up for the emotional quotient that is required for the overall development of the student? And here comes one more question: that is teaching one of those skill sets which can never be automated.
It can never be automated, according to me. Why? Because throughout the discussion, I have been putting a stress on the bond, the relationship, and the emotional aspect of teaching learning situation.
Yes.
So, unless and until we have this emotional factor in the entire circumstance, learning doesn't happen. Teaching will not be successful. And though the artificial intelligence is a very big boon for teachers and educators, because I think it's an amazing technological advance which has happened in my lifetime, that you are able to actually see something which you will never be able to see, right?
Yes.
With your own eyes.
Yes.
You can create anything, you can create wonders, and you can explain the internal system of a human body to a child as though it is actually existing, right? That we cannot, children cannot see it actually, but we are able to simulate it. We are able to provide that kind of a feature. So I think for understanding the concepts and for enlightening the child with various dimensions of a concept, technology is doing wonders. But teaching as such will never be replaced. Will never be replaced. It cannot be replaced. I tell you, because I think even the video lessons or whatever automation is being done, there is a teacher who is recording the lesson.
Yes.
Okay, let us assume that we are not in some cases we are not using a teacher. We are not using human intervention at all. The entire lesson is automated, and you can see everything about how it works, how what it does, and how you can improve the efficiency of a machine. Everything can be learnt by the child. But the way the child is going to utilize this information is an important aspect, because any knowledge can be either utilized or misutilized,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes.
It is either a boon or a bane. It can be a pain also. It can be
Hmm.
used for negative circumstances, it can be used for positive
Okay.
change in the society. So at that point, no machine can understand the emotions of the person. Because ultimately, how is the machine working? It is the human which is creating the software to make it work on some parameters. You may say that there are machines which can sense the emotions of the person. I agree. I know that the machines can sense the emotions. But can it interact?
Hmm.
Unless you program it, you have to program it, isn't it? If you see this particular emotion, you have to give this suggestion to the child. Who is doing that? That is the human who is doing it.
Yes.
So definitely the human hand will not go away from the teaching. The day it is taken over by artificial intelligence, I think that's the day as a humanity we have lost. We have lost all control over ourselves.
Yes.
We should not reach that point, right?
No, no. That we ourselves become a machine, we should not, reach that point, that we lose
Yes.
emotions. So moving on towards the last question, but I don't think so it is the least in value, because this is a statement I would like to read out. It says, motivation specifies the reason why people decide to do something, how long people are willing to sustain the activity, and how hard they are going to pursue the activity. Ma'am, in the context of education, I would like to ask, how does the motivation of a teacher acts as an impetus for a student's overall growth, development, and success?
It plays a very important role. Plays a very important role. As I mentioned, there are five differentiators in the personality of a teacher, and only if a teacher is passionate about creating a change in the child's life, the teacher will be motivated to work towards that.
Yes.
And if a teacher is not motivated herself, let us say I'm just doing the job for the salary I'm getting, right?
Yes.
Then it shows in the way I interact with the child. It definitely shows, because I will just go, I will do it like a business, I will deliver the lecture or I'll take the class in whatever format I'm supposed to take, and I'll come out. I will not interact with the child. I will not even bother about whether the child has been able to digest what I am saying, whether the child has been able to implement what I have said, and whether it has made a difference in the child's life. The minute I care for all those things, I am a motivated person,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Do you agree with me?
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
So when I see the changes in the children, I get more motivation to change to give something more. I'll not get demotivated. Forget about the salary, forget about all other factors which are bogging me down. To be an efficient or an effective teacher, all these factors will just disappear. For me, I will have only the children in front of me. For me, the world is the children. And I believe that I can be of some uh, value to the children in their life. So that is the motivation I have as a teacher. And I believe that most of the teachers are of this nature.
Yes.
Most of it.
Yes.
Whether they have taken it by chance or by choice, they have this kind of motivation. It's the children who motivate them.
Mm-mm.
They will inspire them to be committed, to stay committed, to give something. That's the life of children. It's the potential of the child which impacts the teacher, and in turn, they get benefited. Children will get.
Yes.
So, definitely, staying motivated is another factor.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, most of the teachers are driven by this inner desire to make a difference in the children's lives. But there are some practical parameters which gives them a hindrance in achieving what they want to, what they have in their mind. So for that purpose, I think we need to put in this personality development program or the professional development program into place where the teacher sustains the motivation and continues to be effective, because it's important that we keep all the teachers as motivated as possible all the time.
Yes.
That's a very crucial factor. So I think put together, we have to keep the professional development program in mind, and we have to keep those five factors which I mentioned. It's very important, and make the teacher to stay motivated and work towards the benefit of the children. Of course, the one important but less thought about the factor is the remuneration which the teachers get.
Yes.
They have to be paid, they have to be respected, and they have to be paid better so that they can continue to stay motivated in their classrooms and make a difference in the younger generation, because they are going to create the future of the world,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes.
The way you have been educated is what is making you lead your life right now,
Yes. Definitely.
isn't it?
Yes.
Isn't it? So it is very, very crucial for every country to think about how we are educating the younger generation. How much are we providing for the development, for the positive development of the children? That is
Yes.
very important. If I have to create a generation of positive personalities 10 years from now, I have to start working from now.
Yes.
I have to start becoming the role model for them in every noble value, in every noble thought. And I have to inspire the younger generation to stay motivated and inspired to carry on the culture of human values.
Yes.
That's where I think we have missed a step somewhere, where we are not able to pass on the values. And
Yes. Yes.
that's what I have been working for.
Yes. That's a lovely job that you're doing. No, it shows the passion, for human
Yes,
values. Means
yes,
we see in even in our generation, we are seeing that, human values, that empathy is missing. So these things are really important because we're not machines, we're humans, and
yes,
we have to, cultivate those things in everybody to live a positive life, to make a
right.
positive society. First, we have to live a positive life.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your valuable experience with us. Our viewers would, have definitely loved your insights. Would you like to add something more if I missed on some parts?
Well, the only thing I can say is I really enjoyed talking to you, because it was something which is close to my heart,
Yes.
and I wanted to share my thoughts with a wider audience. And I'm really glad that you chose this topic, and you made me to come out with my ideas and my opinions, my views about the whole scenario. I would like to request the whole world, to pay attention to the personality of a teacher, because I think that's where it all starts,
Yes.
right at the beginning. As soon as a person decides to become a teacher, I think the teacher training across the world should incorporate a personality development program which orients the personality of the person towards teaching, towards being a teacher. It means a lot to be a teacher. So, if only we empower every teacher with the thought that they are the most powerful people in the world, and they can create wonders in the children with whom they interact and make them to acquire those skills which are going to be relevant for the present century, then I think our job of creating a positive society will be done. So I really enjoyed speaking with you and sharing my thoughts with that.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So I would like to wrap up this discussion with one particular, sentence that Dr. Nagamani said, that teachers are definitely the most powerful people in the world. And they are. So thank you to our viewers for tuning in, and stay along with us for more such interactive sessions. And thank you, Dr. Nagamani, again for being with us, for giving your valuable time and sharing your experience with us. Thank you so much.